Hello and welcome to Point of View. I'm Tania Nugent. Thanks for joining us. Coming up today, celebrating Literacy Week, we meet the women joining the Literacy Challenge, getting books to some of our most remote communities. A snapshot from the life of a photographer. And which character are you from this popular children's book series? Yes, we have a full house today to kick off our new season, and I'd first like to welcome our regular panellist, Ms. Philma. And as this week is Literacy Week, our guests today have all got one thing in common, a love of that essential tool for literacy, books. So firstly, let's welcome from the organisation Lawyers for Literacy Incorporated, Eunice, Parua and Wavie, Kendino. Ladies, thank you for joining us on Point of View.
Thanks for having us.
And one of the biggest bookworms I have ever met, and someone who also has a great story to tell, Ms. Grace Mungkage. Welcome, Grace.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to you all. So before we reveal to you out there the amazing things our guests have been doing to address the literacy challenges in their communities, I just want to take a snapshot at the state of literacy in Papua New Guinea. This is taken from a 2011 study by the Asia South Pacific Association for Basic and Adult Education. It looked at 5 different provinces in the country: New Ireland, NCD, Simbu, Sundown and Gulf Province. And the key findings from all those provinces were very low literacy rates, a crisis in school education quality, significant gender disparity in education. More than 70% of respondents from these provinces self-declared their confidence in their ability to read and write. But after being put through the report's basic literacy testing, it was found that in 4 out of the 5 provinces, the real literacy rate was actually less than 15%. Only New Ireland was above at 25%. But these results are all significantly lower than the 52% literacy rate that we hear in the official figures from the census. Also disturbing is the gap between the genders. The proportion of non-literate females is higher compared to males across all 5 provinces surveyed by at least 10%. And in Simbu province, the non-literate rate for females was 40.9%. That's almost double the male non-literate rate, which was 21.3%. So these are disturbing figures to me. Ladies, some of you have taken a look at the report. What do you think of this and what sort of stands out most? I'll start with you first, Eunice.
Yes, this report, I think, confirms what we've experienced in our organization when we went out to donate the books, the level of literacy that's out there in the community. What stood out to me is particularly the confidence that people had. 70% said that they were literate. However, when they took the test that they were given, it showed a different result, that in fact only about 15% of them were literate. That stood out to me, that we're not actually aware of the fact that we are not, or some of our people are not aware that they are actually not literate, or they are semi-literate, which is sad. They're not aware that this is a problem in itself.
Yeah. Grace, what stood out for you?
I think the major thing that, apart from what Eunice just mentioned, would have been the gender parity. I noticed that there was more boys being allowed to go to school, so they had higher rates of literacy than females. So I think that's another issue in this sense, because parents sending their children based on their gender, or shouldn't education be for everyone?
Yeah. And just quickly, Wavie, what resonated with this report for you?
Sure. So I completely agree with what Eunice and Grace have shared, but also for us, as Eunice has shared, the crisis in quality education. When we go out, apart from donating the books, we also do an advocacy on the importance of literacy, and it's just really clear to see that the children in the rural schools are not getting the quality education that they should be, not only in the rural schools, I think even here in the urban centres.
Yeah. And so, Philly, what's been your experience, and what things have you witnessed when it comes to the standard of literacy in PNG?
Well, the report is basically accurate. I have uncles who say that they're educated. So we had a conversation, and one of my uncles was, put the stuff in the boot, in the BUT, boot, So there is an issue. They understand, what things are, but literacy is a huge issue.
Yeah, that's a very great example of that. Self-declaring that you're literate. Then, you might be able to just sign X. Well, we've got to take a very quick break now, but still to come today, while yes, it is quite a gloomy picture with the state of literacy in our country, there are some little rays of sunshine out there, and we'll find out how these amazing women are getting books to children in some of the nation's most remote communities. Stay with us. Welcome back to Point of View, everyone. Well, it's Literacy Week this week, and we all know that books are a very necessary tool for gaining literacy. And in Papua New Guinea, books are kind of a rare commodity. There are very few functioning libraries. School libraries have been pretty much depleted. So how can we expect to improve the nation's literacy rates if there are simply no books? Well, this group of women are here to share what they've decided to do about it. Eunice and Wavie are with Lawyers for Literacy, a group of young Papua New Guinean female lawyers who have come together to make a small difference within their own village communities. The organisation collects new or gently used books all throughout the year from the general public and from various organisations, with the aim of donating these books to elementary and primary schools in their remote communities. They recognise the needs of children, particularly those in early childhood and primary school, to have access to fiction and non-fiction reading books. Well, this is incredible. First of all, ladies, congratulations on this amazing initiative. Tell us the story. What started it? Why did you start it, the Lawyers for Literacy program?
Okay, well, so we're all a group of friends, so we all graduated together. We're all lawyers. We basically share a passion and a love for reading, which has helped us in our education and to become lawyers, and that passion we all share. And it basically came out from just a trip that we decided to take up to the Highlands, and we thought, hey, look, while we're there for the holidays during our Christmas period, let's try to give something back to our village, the community schools or the children in the village. And we thought, what better thing to give than books, because that was something that was close to us. And we felt that we had, because we were young and we didn't feel that there was anything else we could offer, and books was something that we had much experience with personally. And first it was just a trip that we decided to take to two of our friends' villages to visit them as well as give the books. And then when we saw the reaction of the communities when they got the books and how appreciative they were and how the books were going to help the children there, we just decided that this was something that we needed to make more permanent, and to form an organization, do it properly, to get more people involved. And that's basically how Lawyers for Literacy Incorporated came to be. So a group of friends who shared an interest, and something came of it. Yes.
Yeah. Wavie, how many of you are there in the group, and how do you go about collecting all the books?
Sure. So there are currently 10 members, 9 active members and 1 honorary member. So Eunice is one of the 7 founding members. I joined a year later. So because we're just a new organization, we're heavily reliant on the support of sponsors and donors. And so we have Book Belong Pikinini and Books for PNG Kids in Australia that donate books, and also a lot of supportive business houses that also donate in cash and kind. But one of the main ways in which we raise our funds is we conduct raffles and sausage sizzles, and during the raffle draws and the sausage sizzles we have book drives, and we encourage local, like Port Moresby residents to come and donate new or pre-loved books. Yeah, so the local community are some of our biggest supporters.
So where in Papua New Guinea have you been? Where have you gone to donate books, and what does that feel like when you see kids receive your books?
So far we've donated to 6 schools, and all those schools are up in the Highlands. So we've been to Jiwaka Province, Western Highlands, Southern Highlands Province, and Enga Province. The reception up there it's pretty amazing, and it gives us such satisfaction in what we do. We put a lot of our, because we all have full-time jobs, and we put a lot of our spare time and resources into this, but when we see how they receive it, how they have empty bookshelves, and the excitement in the eyes of the kids when they receive the books, and how the teachers as well are so thankful, and the parents as well, it helps us, or it
gives us that encouragement and motivation to continue what we're doing. Yeah.
So do you often see a reflection of your childhood in the faces of the children, you know, like the magic of books that we all identify with here?
We do see that. The kids, they're very excited. The 2 trips that we've been on so far to donate the books have occurred during the Christmas period, so when we're on our leave. And the students are supposed to be on holidays, but they turn up in their uniforms, and they're all excited and just to see young women come into their community and give books, when in the Highlands most of the time it's a male-dominated society, so that also plays a part in what we do to try to empower women, young girls as well in education.
Exactly.
That's one of our aims as well. So the kids are they're just so excited, and that excitement you see, and you remember when you were young and you pulled out a book and you read.
Do you know what though? I've seen the photos that you guys have posted on your Facebook group, and I just love the fact that it's like a cruiser full of women cruising the highway. And you don't see that. Like it is great. Like there's all these girls just, you know, what an adventure at the same time.
Exactly, yeah. It's like a road trip, and we get to give back as well.
And you all visit each other's provinces, each other's families.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And at least for the little girls, they get to see a female Santa with books.
Oh, absolutely. And they're like, oh, wow, if these girls can do it. And it's like, oh, wait, there's no boys. Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a very, very quick break now, but when we return from the remote mountains to the outer islands, spreading the love of books. That's next. Welcome back to Point of View. Well, Papua New Guinea has so many isolated and remote communities, whether perched in steep mountain ridges or on tiny islands off our mainland. Grace Mungkage comes from one such community.
Parua is 60 kilometers away from Wavie town. To get here, you have to get on a dinghy. It's a good weather, it's 1.5 hours. If it's really stormy weather, it's 3 hours. It's the last island of the Wavie Islands.
What makes you sound so good? When I beat you, boom, 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 you go.
St. Patrick's is the only school on Tarawai Island.
This year we have 3 grades, grade 1, grade 5 and grade 7. Okay, we have a total of 78 students. Okay, the highest number is in grade 1. It's very difficult a bit, okay, looking at it in terms of transportation. Okay, to transport materials and things like that from town to here, it's very difficult. It costs about 600 to 700 kina for us to hire a boat to bring in materials from Wavie to the school. At the moment, we only have few books which the students are using, especially the school journals, for reading purposes. And also we have few textbooks. Okay, some of them are getting old, and we have torn pages and all this.
The correlation between remoteness and the lack of access to education and materials is clear. Today, Grace is realising a long-held dream to share her love of reading with the children of the island she comes from, travelling with 2 dinghies loaded with boxes of books to take to the school on Tarawai and neighbouring Wallis Island. Access to books and literacy materials is incredibly difficult in Papua New Guinea. The public library system has collapsed, with less than 5 libraries still operating in the country. School libraries haven't fared much better, and there are very few bookshops. A book can cost 6 times the price to purchase in regional areas than in the capital. On Wallace and Tarawai Islands, the whole community has come out to greet the arriving dinghies. It's taken more than 12 months of effort to get these books here.
With these books coming in, okay, they will stimulate the interest of the students in reading and also will improve their skills in reading and writing and speaking of English. And we hope that in future we will have very good English writers and speakers from this school going out.
Wow. First of all, Grace, you come from a spectacular part of the country. Wow. But what a blessing and a curse all at once, just the effort to get those books there. Tell us how that started and how long it took. Obviously, something like that doesn't take overnight.
Yes, so it all started, I work for the Auditor General's office, so me and another colleague, Eric Morova, we were seconded to the Australian National Audit Office. This was back in 2015. And so while we were there, we said to each other, we'd always talk about books. He liked reading books and I'm a serial bookworm. So we used to discuss books, and then he said, I'm from a very isolated place and I went to school without books. And I said, well, I went to school with books, but I come from a place that's also very isolated. And he said, most of the organizations that are in Port Moresby have their head offices in Canberra. While we're here, why don't we look into that? And it was like a matter of being at the right place at the right time. During that time, we were writing letters to St. Vinny's, Rotary, Canberra, and of course they have like a backlog of lots of requests for books and anything to do with, charity. So while we were there, we were just lucky that Anne Sophie had come down from PNG, and she'd been running awareness on Book Blog Bikini.
Yeah, so Anne Sophie is the founder of Book Blog Bikini.
Yes, she's the founder of Book Blog Bikini. So she was hosting a documentary about Papua New Guinea at the National Library of Canberra. And so when we saw that, we decided to go along. And when we went along, we met Anne Sophie, and she just helped us go from, catapult the whole process. Because sometimes you need to know the right people. Exactly. If you're just one person doing it on your own, it'll take a longer time. Just like with Lawyers for Literacy, the Friends have combined their efforts, and I'm sure in each of the individual organizations they worked in to sort of rally that support. Yeah. And I think we were also very fortunate that at the Australian National Audit Office, they have an exchange program with us for about 10 years now. And mostly we're just there for work, but I think Eric and I were we tapped into that whole, trying to fundraise books. And so during the Independence weekend over there, we hosted a book drive. So the office was all throughout the month of September, they were collecting books.
Oh, exciting.
And Canberra is pretty much the hub of, a lot of the government workers of Australia. And so they come from very middle to high-class homes. Yeah. So their books that they were bringing in were practically new. Those was from some of our colleagues. We were like, are you sure this is it for your 5-year-old? Yeah. And they said, no, that's like a year old. And we were like, oh, wow, well, PNG, we have to start looking after our books.
Yeah. It's gold to us.
Yeah. That kind of thing. And then, Australian National Audit Office helped us collect the books, as well as some of the other organizations that are affiliated with Book Blog Bikini. And I think the major support we had from Book Blog Bikini was transporting them from Australia. Because for Eric and I to just ride to United Nations, all the departments we could think
Yeah.
of, that would have taken, our
Yeah.
secondment would have been finished. We were just
Finished
there for
by
10 months. So we were lucky to have Book Long Picnic on board, and not only did they ship the books down to, so Eric is from Karama, so his closest port was Port Moresby. For me,
Yeah.
they shipped it to Lae.
Okay.
And then we had some support from Canberra, Rotary Canberra, to get the books from the ports to, like for me it was from Lae to Wewak.
Okay.
And then for Eric it was from Port Moresby to Kanabia.
Okay.
And it all came from Book Long Pikini helping us with the documentary and even just getting it out there.
Yeah.
So like for me, it has to go from Lae to Wewak, and then from Wewak it's another 3-hour dinghy ride to get there.
I'm certain that your story is inspiring a lot of people out there, that you wouldn't be alone, that there's lots of us out there who have communities where we would like to get books to. What advice do you have? You know, what are some of the things that people might want to know about in terms of setting up organisations or just doing a simple book drive? Well, not simple, but you know, it sounds simple. But doing a book drive, you know, just one person. Yeah. Any advice?
Wherever, I mean, being from books, you become educated, and when you become more educated, you're presented better opportunities. So you're probably able to meet people who can help you get resources to people. So I think my advice would probably be whatever opportunity you're given, whether it's a job in Port Moresby or an exchange program or being sent for studies, probably to always just look back home. And I think people out there all really want to help, but you know, many times we depend on the government. We say, oh, if the government's not helping, how is it going to get there? But in each of our provinces, each of our villages, there is an educated individual in there. So if we all just maximize on those opportunities and pull our resources together, I think we'll be able to reach a lot more provinces and villages.
Yeah. And what about with Lawyers of Literacy? Have there been any challenges or hurdles you've come across that you've had to overcome to keep it going?
Yeah, the funds for logistics is definitely a big issue, as Grace has experienced as well. So running our fundraisings, so we try to fundraise ourselves to pay for the air freight of books up to the Highlands. So that has been in trying to get the books as well from to meet the numbers of children of the schools that we are targeting. To write out and to put yourself out there, you need to be a person or an organization who's willing to go out and ask for stuff. And although for some people it might seem embarrassing, but you have to have at the back of your mind that you're doing this for a good purpose.
For a greater good.
Yeah, and you need to really go get what you want or what you aim for to help people, because it's really hard and it's all about making money these days, it seems. For young people or educated people, and to give back you have to try to go get it.
Where are you going next, Lawyers for Literacy? When and where?
So we're still sticking with the Highlands provinces, and so the next book donation, which will be in mid-2018, we're going to go to Chimbu, Eastern Highlands Province, and Western Highlands Province as well. Yeah, and that completes the Highlands, and then we'll look to donating to some other region in PNG. Yeah.
Okay, and for the schools that you donate to, do you have a special relationship with them? Do you continue to have that conversation and dialogue and catch up on some of the kids you've met?
Yeah, so the schools that we have donated to are actually in our village communities. So each of our members, we visit their village communities. So the member whose village we visited to donate the book, they've had that, they have that personal relationship with the teachers, with the students. Most of those kids are our little cousin brothers, our nieces, our nephews. So it's something personal to us as well. And we keep in touch with the headmaster and the teachers in charge of the English department in the schools to see how they're going with, if they need assistance with lesson plans on how literacy, reading plans or stuff like that. we're always there to help them if they need it. And but teaching is something that we leave to them.
We need to take a very quick break, but when we come back, Street View is next, where Isabel tries to find some real-life characters from one of the world's most popular children's book series. Stay with us. Welcome back to Point of View. Well, I'm sure many of you out there share the same experiences that we all have on this set of the memories of our favourite books from childhood. In Street View today, Isabel Juma is out uncovering some real-life characters from one of the world's most popular children's book series.
So we got Little Miss Chatterbox, Mr. Silly, Little Miss Curious, Mr. Funny. You guys may have all remembered these books from our childhood. So I'm going to go and ask the public which book or which Mr. Man or woman character represents you. So which Mr. Man character are you?
Miss Curious.
Why are you Miss Curious?
Because I like to learn lots of things, and I'm always curious about learning new things, everything new, yeah.
It's helpful. Ah, alright. She wants to be a good Samaritan, you little miss. Why?
I love helping.
And little Miss Bus.
Miss Lucky.
You're Miss Lucky?
Yeah.
Why are you Miss Lucky? Does luck always travel with you?
Yes.
Alright, what about you?
Yeah, I go to
Miss Fun? Why you Miss Fun?
I always like laugh when I see people around like funny, and I used to laugh every day, like making fun with bus crews or drivers in the bus, or with my friends in the bus, make them like psych up in the bus.
Mr. Cheerful, I don't know, maybe.
Mr. what?
Mr. Cheerful.
Mr. Cheerful. Why you Mr. Cheerful? Because a moment ago you were like Mr. Grumble.
Yeah.
Why the sudden heart of change? A heart of change. A heart of change. A heart of change.
I don't know, because...
Can't make up your mind. There should be a little Mr. I can't make up my mind.
Yeah, I think someone else, yeah.
So why you're Mr. Cheerful? Why you pick Mr. Cheerful?
Because suddenly I'm cheerful, I don't know, maybe.
All the time cheerful.
I choose Mr. Noisy.
Why you choose Mr. Noisy? Are you always noisy?
Yes, I always noisy in the class.
For me, Miss Sunshine, Little Miss Sunshine.
Why you pick Little Miss Sunshine?
Because like she's always happy, and then she's like, you know, always, yeah, like she's not, like she doesn't get grumpy at all. She's just, I like her personalities.
Okay, cool. And you?
I've never read any of this, but I'll go for Miss Little Princess.
Why do you pick Little Miss Princess?
Because I think I kind of like it because she's pretty.
The Mr. Men characters and the Little Miss this and the Little Miss that. So anyway, I want to know which Little Misses you misses are. I'm going to start with you, Philly.
I think I'm Little Miss Splendid. I think I fit that very well.
I would have chosen that too. Grace, which Little Miss character or Mr. Men character are you?
I'd probably be Little Miss Chatterbox. Yes. I've gotten into so much trouble in my education life for talking too much.
I can vouch for that.
She can vouch for that.
Eunice?
I think I would be Little Miss Cheerful. I try to keep positive, look on the bright side of stuff. So yeah, and try to keep a smile on my face all the time.
Wavie?
I think I'm Little Miss Sunshine. I try to bring sunshine everywhere I go.
I can't decide if I'm Little Miss Bad or Little Miss Trouble, but a good friend of mine who's sitting right here to my left once made a comment to me that no woman ever made history by behaving herself. Yeah. So if I'm going to be Little Miss, if I'm going to own
You've
Little
just
Miss
given
Bad.
her ammunition.
Trouble with a capital T, that's the other one. That's it. But you know, these characters from children's books, I mean, I just love children's books. And you know the different characters that we grew up with. What are some other favourite characters that you've had, you know, from reading books as a child? Anyone?
Oh gosh.
Favorite children's book character?
Well, I've always loved the Disney series, the Disney shows. I actually was in a Little Miss Play School competition, and the prize was a series of Disney books, and I won. So yeah, so I've always been loved the princess and those stories.
Yeah. Anybody?
I think I really liked Dr. Seuss books growing up. So Cat in the Hat was like my favorite book, and I think another one would be All the Places You'll Go.
Oh, The Places You Will Go.
I love that book, and to this day I still keep a copy of my first All the Places You'll Go.
I've got that collection.
Yeah.
Green Eggs and Ham.
Yeah.
Oh, The Places You Will Go. Yeah. Yeah. What is it? The Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
The Cat in the Hat himself. Yeah. Have you got any favourites?
Oh yeah, I like the, this is from a very young age. I like the books like Spot the Dog, where where you flip it open and you can discover little things in the book as each page is like, each page is just an eye-opener and you discover something. So.
Yeah, the interactive books, the touch and the feel and the sniff and the scratch and sniff.
Yeah, fond memories for you.
Now, my favourite my favourite character is Aslan the lion. Out of The Lion, the Witch and the Water. That lion, I mean, I know exactly what that lion feels like, smells like, looks like, everything. That's just like, I'd just be like, dream about Aslan coming to take me for a ride on his big lion back.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to take a very quick break, but, we have been talking about our childhood memories of books. And when we return, we're going to have a little bit of a look at how you can start a lifelong learning of books and how that lifelong learning with your children begins with you. We'll be back. Welcome back to Point of View. Well, if you want to get your kids to fall in love with books and develop a lifelong love of reading, the best thing you can do is read to them, and the earlier the better.
Hi everyone, we're going to be reading a book titled Owa the Grasshopper and Kaipa the Caterpillar. This story is written by Iriani Wanma and illustrated by Malon Kulinad. Once upon a time, in a garden on an Ibica bush, there was a little green grasshopper named Owa and a little green caterpillar named Kaipa. Owa and Kaipa were best friends. Kaipa was much slower than Owa and often stayed on one leaf. Every morning when Owa woke up, he would hop over to Kaipa's leaf and they would eat breakfast together. Owa would tell Kaipa about his adventures from the day before. "You're so lucky, Owa," Kaipa would say before Owa set off on the day's adventures. "I wish I could see new places like you do." "Don't worry, Kaipa," said Owa. "You keep eating and I'm sure one day you'll grow legs and wings like mine and be able to hop and fly like me." As the weeks passed, Owa and Kaipa began to change. Owa became big and strong, his legs longer, his jumps higher and his flight better. Kaipa became fatter and much slower. "Oh, Owa, I've been eating and eating my Ibica, but nothing has changed," cried Kaipa. Kaipa wiggled his legs. "My legs are fat and wobbly and they sure can't hop. And I have no wings," complained Kaipa. "What's the use? I'll never be like you." Kaipa hung his head. He was so sad. Owa kept quiet. He didn't know what to say to his best friend. He went over to Kaipa and comforted him. "Don't worry, Kaipa," said Owa. "You keep eating and I'm sure one day you'll grow legs and wings like mine and be able to hop and fly like me." One morning, Owa hopped over to Kaipa's leaf to have breakfast. But he didn't see Kaipa. "Kaipa, Kaipa, where are you?" said Owa. "Down here," said Kaipa. Owa climbed down the Ibica and looked up, and there was Kaipa, hanging upside down. "Hey, Owa," said Kaipa. "Why are you hanging upside down?" asked Owa. "I don't know. I just feel like hanging upside down. So here I am." replied Kaipa. Are you going to come down and have breakfast with me? Asked Oa. I am not hungry, but you go ahead and have some ibika, said Kaipa. Oa munched away at the ibika leaf, while Kaipa hung upside down listening to Oa talk about his adventures from the day before. The next day, Oa came over for breakfast and found Kaipa in a sleeping bag, hanging from the ibika leaf. Kaipa was completely covered from the top of his head all the way to his bottom. Maybe he was cold last night, thought Oa. Oa ate breakfast alone. He did not want to disturb Kaipa, who was fast asleep. For 3 days straight, Kaipa was fast asleep in his sleeping bag when Oa came over in the morning. On the 4th day, as soon as Oa woke up, he made his way over to Kaipa's leaf. Psst, Kaipa, he whispered, not wanting to be rude. But Kaipa didn't respond, so Oa decided to yell, Kaipa, wake up! He flew up next to Kaipa's leaf and hopped up and down. Wake up, wake up, wake up, Kaipa! But still there was no sound or movement from the sleeping bag. 2 weeks went by and Oa had stopped going to see Kaipa. He was very sad that Kaipa didn't speak to him and they no longer had breakfast together anymore. He wasn't interested in playing with his grasshopper friends. He just wanted his best friend Kaipa back. One sunny morning, as Oa opened his eyes, he saw a beautiful yellow butterfly in front of him. Hey Oa, said the butterfly with a big smile. Ah, who are you and why are you on my leaf? Shouted Oa. Oa was frightened by the butterfly. Oa, said the yellow butterfly, it's me, Kaipa. Kaipa? Oa moved closer to inspect the yellow butterfly. You look so different. I know, and look, I have wings now, Oa, said Kaipa, joyfully as he flapped his big yellow wings. We can go on adventures together now. Oh, Kaipa, I missed you so much, cried Oa. Kaipa told Oa that he had already had his breakfast and that he didn't eat ibika anymore. Instead, he drank nectar from flowers for his food. Oa and Kaipa spread their wings and set off for their very first adventure together. The end.
And that's how you foster a lifelong love of books. And that gorgeous book, The Story of Oa Grasshopper and Kaipa Caterpillar, was written by Iriana Wanma and published by Book Belong Pikinini. Well, we talked earlier about the huge importance of literacy for life skills and also for better career opportunities. So what better time to introduce a new segment on Point of View, a snapshot of the life of a young woman on her chosen career path. Today it's Focus, Expose and Snap, the life of a young photographer in our selfie.
Hi, my name is Tabitha. I am the editorial and advertising assistant of Pacific Islands Publishing. It's a division of More Printing. A typical day for me is waking up late. I always wake up late. Rushing off to work and just doing my job, coordinating distributions of all our publications at Pacific Islands Publishing. And then I go home and then I focus on my photography business, trying to market my business on Facebook. I've taken up photography because I'm passionate about nature. When I got my first camera, I started taking shots of insects around my yard as well as flowers, and I feel like Papua New Guineans deserve affordable services, you know, and I want to provide affordable and quality services to Papua New Guineans. As soon as I got my camera, the idea of running this business, it didn't pass my mind. I've always been thinking about it, so I decided to put it forward. Well, it's helped me to manage my time. I'm a person I'm very goofy, I'm very clumsy. I don't work on time, but ever since I've started running this business, it's pushed me to manage my time and be more respectful as well to people. In when I approach people, I feel like my attitude has changed in those ways. I don't like that answer. Photography has made me change as a person. I've changed the way I approach people. I feel like I am more respectful towards people and more considerate. I also manage my time well. Challenges, well, like every other photographer, I guess it's funding for better quality equipment. You have to really save. So that's a challenge that I tried. Whatever money I get in this business, I try to put it aside, and then as soon as I go in for printing and the way the clients react, I think that's very rewarding for me, watching those photos come to life in the prints, in the form of prints. Yeah, I think photography can help tourism in our country in terms of going out, taking photos of our beautiful habitats, nature and animals, and then contributing it to magazines and travel guides around the country. Hi everyone, I'm Tabitha Pangatana. That was my selfie POV. I hope you enjoyed.
Welcome back to Point of View. Before we do our final wrap-up, I just want to give a massive shout-out to Book Belong Pikinini, a charity organisation that started 10 years ago, which now has 18 libraries established all around PNG, targeting the nation's most vulnerable children. Each library has more than 3,000 high-quality children's books, as well as educational toys and craft materials. A literacy-based learning program is conducted in all libraries on a daily basis, and a syllabus has been created especially to cater for PNG children. And evaluations have shown that children are able to read after just 5 months in the program. So how amazing is Book Belong Pikinini? Let's just kind of thank goodness for them. They've helped you guys a lot with providing books and support, and obviously with you as well, yes. the epic costs of getting books to communities. So anyway, they're my favourite charity on earth, so yes, Book Belong Pikinini. And it's almost time for us to go. But before we do, our usual tradition of giving everybody their final say, I'm going to start with you, Philma. What's your final tutoyas worth?
Yeah, it's exciting and quite amazing to find young women doing great things for their communities, coming together to create organizations, even doing it individually. So I think I'd like to encourage everyone in whatever small way, big way, everyone has the opportunity and the potential to give back to their communities, to their schools, and there are other kids out there who need that kind of help, and being great role models is so important. So I'm really happy we got great role models here today. And for everyone to get involved, and whether it be Book Belong Pikinini, Lawyers for Literacy, just get involved. Yeah.
Grace?
I think if my message to everyone would probably be whatever, as I said earlier, whatever opportunity you're given, to always think back. So think back to your village and, think globally, act locally. I live by that line, and I think it's important that sometimes you might be second generation educated, you might be living in Port Moresby. It's important that you have that dialogue with your parents and find out the struggles they went through to get an education. That's right. It's through that struggle that maybe being second generation educated, you're living in the city, you're getting on a school bus, you're getting dropped off, you forget that struggle. So it's always important to know your roots and always give back to your community.
Yeah. Eunice?
My message to everyone, or what I'd like to say, is that literacy is a very important aspect of any society. And let's all get behind any organization or any effort to increase literacy, to spread the reading, the love of books in our communities, to support our group or to support any individuals who are taking that effort to increase the literacy levels in our country. It's for us all to take part in and not just wait for the government or some people want to come along and do it. We're all responsible for the issues in our own country.
Yeah. And Wavie?
I absolutely agree with Eunice. So the motto for Lawyers for Literacy is together let us preserve the culture of reading. So do whatever it is you can. Read to your children at home, your nieces, your nephews, and come out and support all of these great organizations that try to bring the books out to the children in rural communities.
And just before we wrap up properly, can I just get you to run through some of the fundraising activities and your plans for the coming year, the coming months, so that people out there if they are interested in getting behind you, you know, we can put your contact details up as well.
Sure, thank you very much. So we have our Facebook page, which is Lawyers for Literacy, Inc. In October 28th, we have our trivia night. It's going to be a great night of fun. We had our inaugural trivia night last year, and even though it was our first, it was so exciting. So we're looking forward to having individuals and organizations come. In November, we will have our last book drive and sausage sizzle. That will be on November 25th. But yeah, we've got two great events coming up, and if you just follow our Facebook page, you'll be able to get in touch with us and find out about our upcoming events.
Terrific. Just to let everybody know, it's Lawyers for Literacy, the number 4, if you're looking for it on Facebook. And yes, Literacy Week this week, it's been a great show. It's been great sort of looking at some positive things that are happening in this one of our greatest challenges. I just want to plug the Literacy Week activities for Book Belong Piccaninny here in Port Moresby. Head down to Theatist on Waigani Drive. There's a children's bookshop in there, which is amazing. Right. And author Iriana Wanma, who wrote that gorgeous book, The Story of Oa Grasshopper and Kaipa Caterpillar, she will be down there signing books and reading to the kids. That's Wednesday at 3:30. So ladies, once again, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you, Philma. Thank you, Eunice. Thank you, Wavie. And thank you, Grace. And thank you to everybody out there for tuning in as well. We hope you enjoyed the show. Remember to find a book, read to your kids. Literacy is the key. It's the tool to our future. Until next time, we'll see you soon.